Today we continue three characteristics: anicca, dukkha, and anatta, impermanence, suffering, and non-self. It is important to see these three characteristics. The first one, anicca, impermanence, is concealed by continuity. We practice vipassana meditation, and when you attain vipassana knowledge, you can use to discover the characteristics of impermanence. You can use like a powerful microscope. You use microscope to see the material things, to see the truth of material properties. And in vipassana, we need vipassana knowledge to understand the truth of mind and matter, to understand the truth of five aggregates, to see their impermanence nature. Yogi practice meditation seriously and continuously, and you can see the rise and fall of the aggregates. You can see the rise and fall of mental and physical states. So to the yogi who practice very well, mental and physical states no longer appear as connected. You see they are separate, they are unconnected. Once you see this disconnectedness of things, you see that they are not continuous. You see that they are composed of many separate parts. Then you come to understand that these constantly rising and falling things are impermanent. But as long as we think that they are continuous, it is impossible to see their impermanent nature. So if we see the impermanent nature, the view of continuity can be removed. To get rid of the view of continuity, we need to watch things precisely. We need to see that the aggregates arise and disappear. Once the arising and disappearance of aggregates you see, and you will be able to rid of the view of continuity. When this view is broken, the nature of impermanence manifests itself clear to the yogi. And the second characteristics, the characteristics of suffering, does not become apparent because when continuous operation is not given attention, it is concealed by one's postures. If we sit for some time, we have pain somewhere. When we do not practice meditation, as soon as the pain we experience, we will change our postures and find a postures more comfortable. But pain eventually comes to that postures also, so we shift into another postures until pain appears there also. So the attempt to avoid pain goes on and on and on. We do that only when we sit down and make notes when practicing meditation. So the changing of postures conceal the suffering nature of the physical body. As meditators, after sitting for an hour without changing postures, you are sure to be suffering pain somewhere, so you know how much suffering there is. So when the Visuddhimagga says, pain is concealed by postures, it means that it is concealed by the postures taken to remove the pain or suffering of the previous postures. So yogis start to see arising and disappearing. First, you understand impermanence. Then dwelling on arising and disappearing, you find that arising and disappearing is a constant operation. And in regard to mental states, only when you see arising and disappearing, you can see the dukkha nature of these mental states. So during meditation, yogi have to try to be mindful of your thoughts. When a thought comes, pay attention to it, then it disappears along with the attention. And it's replaced by another thought and another moment of attention. So mental states and the mindfulness of those mental states come one after another, arising and disappearing, arising and disappearing. When you see hundreds of objects arising and disappearing, you understand that they are bombarded and oppressed by arising and disappearing. Only when you see the constant operation caused by arising and disappearing, you really see the dukkha nature, suffering nature of mental states. And only when you understand suffering nature in this sense, constantly oppressed by arising and disappearing, you can understand that all five aggregates of clinging are suffering. And that characteristics anatta, non-self. Non-self does not become apparent because it is concealed by compactness, gana. There is a view, the view of compactness. In reality, there is no compactness, but we always see things as compact. We always see things as a solid things. We think that even the mind is just one solid thing. We think that it is the same as the mind a few moments ago. It is the same as the mind a week ago or a month ago. And even though we have different minds, now seeing mind, hearing mind, smelling mind, touching mind, so on, we see them as the solid things. We put them all together as one, so these aggregates are also concealed by the view of compactness. So when we see something, there is an object to be seen, and the eye sensitivity to see the object and the seeing consciousness. So on our part, we have the eye sensitivity and seeing consciousness. So the act of seeing is composed of many different moments of small mental states. Normally, we do not think of it that way. We take it as just one thing, seeing or I see. And the same view applies to hearing, smelling, and so on, because we take each process to be one solid thing. So we take complex things, we take the process as a mass, and as long as we cannot break the mass into its components, we will always think in terms of I, we always think in terms of a person, we always think in terms of individual, male or female, etc. So anatta, non-self, is concealed by compactness, and in order to understand anatta, we need to understand the meaning of anatta. One meaning is having no exercise of authority over it, and another meaning is having no core. Anatta is that which has no inner core, no essence, and no self. As long as we take things to be compact, to be a mass, or to be just one thing with many functions, we cannot avoid the view that there is a core, an inherent essence, or a self. So to understand the anatta nature of things, we need to break things down into elements, and they are different components. As long as we cannot break things into their constituent parts, we will also think of them as one compact things. But once you are able to analyze and break them into their various components, the view of compactness and the view of self or the view of atta are gone. So in order to see anatta, it is very important that you break things down. You need to cut things to pieces and you need to analyze. So you have to cut very precisely. When you breathe in, rising, one cut, falling, one cut, thinking, one cut, and during walking, raising, one cut, pushing forward, one cut, dropping down, one cut. So you need to cut very precisely. When practicing vipassana meditation, you make notes of objects that appear at the present moment, and you see that at every moment the objects are different. And when you take mental states as objects, you know that there are many mental states, not just one compact mind. So you are able to break up mind into many components. It is more important to be able to break up objects into component states than it is to give names to them. During the practice of meditation, you will see that your mind is not just one mind. At different moments, there is a different mind or different consciousness. One consciousness goes to an object, and another consciousness makes note of it. Then these two disappear, and another consciousness that is thinking of quite another things arise, and so on. So as you pay attention closely to what is happening in your mind, you will see that what you thought to be one compact things is actually composed of many small mental states, composed of different mental states. Once you see mind as comprising these small mental states, you come to understand that there is no core in the mind. When you see there is no core in the mind, you see the anatta nature of that mind. The commentary says, the characteristics of impermanence and suffering are easy to understand, but the characteristic of non-self is difficult to comprehend. According to the commentary, we easily say when a pot is dropped accidentally and gets broken, or its nature of impermanence. Everything have to be broken one day. Again, afflicted with a voice or so on our body with pain because of piercing thorns, we usually murmur, or is trouble, is suffering. In this way, the nature of impermanence and unsatisfactoriness is clearly visible and easily understandable. But the characteristics of non-self is not so easily comprehensible. It is just like an object lying in the dark, and it is hard to explain to others. So the characteristics of impermanence and unsatisfactoriness are well known either inside the dispensation or outside it. But the characteristics of non-self is known only in the dispensation, in this sasana. And the wise hermits who are outside of the dispensation could teach only about the nature of impermanence and suffering. The doctrine of non-self was beyond them. So it is the unique quality of the Buddha, it is a unique quality or the attributes of the Enlightened One to be able to teach and explain the doctrine of non-self. Teachers outside of the dispensation could not handle this doctrine because it is so subtle and profound. The commentary states that the non-self doctrine is deep, and even the Buddha had to use either the characteristics of impermanence or the characteristics of suffering, or both of them, to help the teaching of the doctrine of non-self. In Tathagata Sutta, 6 and 6 Sutta, Buddha explained anatta by means of anicca. According to this Tathagata Sutta, practitioners should know the following 6 classes of 6 kinds. 1. The 6 internal bases: eye base, ear base, nose base, tongue base, body base, and mind base. Practitioners should know. As 6 external bases: sight, sound, smell, taste, tangible object, and mental object. Practitioners should know. As 6 kinds of consciousness: hearing consciousness, seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, etc. As 6 kinds of phassa, 6 kinds of contact or impression: eye contact, ear contact, etc. As 6 kinds of feeling born of eye contact, feeling born of ear contact, etc. And then 6 kinds of desire: hunger for sight, hunger for sound, hunger for smell, hunger for taste, hunger for tangible object, etc. So practitioners should know 6 classes of 6 kinds. Vedita Bani, yogi should know what that means. Commentary says, yogi should know means yogi should know by means of vipassana contemplation. Yogi should know by means of Ariya Mega Jnana. So whenever you see things, you mindfully note, and the eye sensitivity and its object of sight, and the eye consciousness, the contact and the feeling that arise on seeing, yogi should note. And if liking and craving for the object develops along with seeing, the rising desire should also be noted. Yogi note liking, etc. So in the same way, yogi should know while hearing, smelling, tasting, touching and thinking, the 6 classes of objects, yogi should know. To the yogi who is aware of these, by noting each phenomenon of seeing, hearing, etc., yogi gain vipassana knowledge personally. He realized that eye, sensitivity, visible sight, seeing consciousness, etc., arising and vanishing away. Yogi realized personally, and yogi realized previously it was thought that there is a permanent entity. Previously it was thought that there is an enduring self. Now it is perceived by actual observation that there is only a natural phenomenon of incessant arising and vanishing. So yogi perceive no self, yogi perceive no living entity. Even yogi may wonder, if there is no self, if there is no living being for whom I am engaged in meditation, yogi wonder. So realization that there is no self, yogi attain through full understanding the nature of impermanence. So the sensitive material qualities of the eye, which serve as the base for eye consciousness, rise and vanish on every occasion of seeing. So it is not permanent, it is not the seemingly enduring, it is not everlasting entity, it is not the self. If one says the I is self, it will amount to saying one's self, atta, is arising and passing away, not stable. So we have to conclude that the unenduring material qualities of the I is not self. In the same way, similar conclusion with respect to the visible form, eye consciousness, eye contact, and feeling resulting from eye contact, liking and desiring for the sight, all are not self. It is how six phenomena which become prominent at the moment of seeing are to be regarded as non-self, anatta. In the similar manner, the six kinds of phenomena which are apparent, which are clear at the moment of hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, also be regarded as non-self, anatta. So we continue anatta nature. Tomorrow we have to stop our discourse for today by practicing Satipatthana Vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses continuously and precisely. May you all understand the inflicting nature and oppressing nature of the psychophysical process. May you understand the anatta nature. May you all realize the real peace in the very